All right, we're into the last couple weeks of the summer semester. This is always a difficult semester. Summer is always difficult because it's so quick, and it seems like that we've got assignments due all the time and exams every other week. And this is going to be the, I think, second to last video that you'll be seeing. Potentially there'll be a third one, but as of right now, that's what we're talking about. I want to go over a couple of things that I want you to be focused on this week as you read. First is this idea of Renaissance and discovery and this transition from medieval to modern times. If I was giving you a bullet point list of those things, that transition, medieval Europe is fragmented. It's a feudal society. It's agricultural economy is what's really a bustling economic structure during this time, and then it's church dominated with thought and culture. Okay, and then we get the Renaissance, and the Renaissance comes about in the post 14th century. We start to see political centralization and this idea of nationalism, right? All of a sudden we start to break into these pieces. We're not Roman anymore. We've been out on these feudal lands where we're under lords, and that's going to kind of break down, and we're going to see these ideas of I'm German, or I'm English, or I'm French. Okay, and we haven't seen that prior to this. We wouldn't have been German at the time. It would have been the Ottoman Empire. But let's we'll leave it at France and British. Okay. So also we're going to see this explosion of urban and commercial capitalist economies that are going to come out. So we transition from being agrarian, agriculturally based economies to more urban and commercially capitalist societies. Now, we've seen this so far throughout time, right? We've gone back and forth, and really what I want you to understand, if you take away anything from this course, is that we ebb and flow all the time. That's the way that it works. So we start out as agrarian, we move to urban, then it drops off, we're back to agrarian, we're back up to urban, right? And it's this ebb and flow. And that's what I need you to understand really about this transition from medieval to modern times, is that we ebb and flow from rural to urban and back and forth, okay? We start to see this idea or a rise of humanism, which is a scholarly study of Greek and Latin classics. And so we get away from really artisan work and understanding how to work with metals and how to work with animals to let's start to learn about the Greeks and Latin. We're going to start reading histories. We see the growth of liberal studies during this time. Okay, and that's this growth of humanism that we're going to see, which gives us a revival of Greek studies. Okay, some of these things are going to lead. It's going to lead people to start thinking, and this is the major piece that I want you to understand, because there will be a question about this idea of Renaissance to the Reformation to the Science Revolution, and really it starts here with this idea of people starting to think about higher ideals, think about Greek philosophers, and that's going to turn them still within the church at this point, but looking inside the church and saying, hey, maybe it's not this way, and maybe I should be understanding what it is that my preacher is telling me, okay? Because at this point, that's not happening. However, during the Renaissance is when we get the printing press. So the printing press allows everyone to have a Bible in their home, and then they can read it for themselves. And now you can interpret the Bible instead of somebody telling you what you should be learning. That's going to lead us to the Age of Reformation. And the Reformation, I believe, if you're in my in-person courses, we spend a lot of time on the Reformation, and I will tell you leading up to and then after that it all comes down to the Reformation. The Reformation and Martin Luther is where all of this culminates in. And really what I guess I'm saying is that it's a watershed moment, right? You have the printing press, people are thinking, and now all of a sudden we lead to Martin Luther and the Reformation and this idea of, hey, I can gain spiritual growth or interpretation or visions for myself. I don't need somebody else to tell me that. And so this Reformation changes the church and the way that we look at different things. Martin Luther is plagued by his disconnect between sinfulness and the perfect righteous God that's required for salvation. And that is a big piece for him. And so now he's searching. He concludes that God does not demand charitable acts and religious ceremonies, but just faith in Jesus Christ. And that's what he is pushing for. And he gets really frustrated with this idea, with the idea of paying for your sins. Okay, and you're going to see that in chapter 11, his indulgences. And these indulgences drive him crazy because he doesn't believe that you should be able to pay your way out. You should just be a good person. Instead of people who have money being able to pay to get out of their sins, whereas the poor are stuck in their sinful states, right? I mean, that's what he's really frustrated with. This age of reform is going to change the church. It changes in many different ways, which you'll see this week as you read through these chapters. And really what I'd like you to understand is that this Reformation leads us to the United States. I mean, that's how we get to where we are today, is through the Reformation. And if we were sitting in class, we would have this huge discussion about the Reformation and the changes that we see up into the Enlightenment, and then the Second Great Awakening, right? And we see the Second Great Awakening here in on this continent, which leads to all of the churches that we probably either attend or those that we don't attend, okay? As we look at these things, though, we need to take that back to the Reformation and understand those connections. And so I hope that you see those this week. I will do another video next week with a study guide for the final. If you have any questions, please email me, call me, stop by my office, meet me at Java. We can have coffee and chat about these things, whatever we need to do. But I want to make sure that you're comfortable with the final as we move into that direction, okay? We've got this week and next week, and we are finished. And I hope that everything has gone well for you this semester. There'll be course evaluations, which will be posted, which you can take, and I'd appreciate any feedback that you have. You can also go, I think it's ratemyprofessor.com, and you can do that as well. So I'm on there for ISU and CSI. However you want to rate this course would be great, and I would greatly appreciate it. Reach out if you need to, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.